Let's get back to this trade war that Donald Trump started on the weekend. As I say, it's already cost Australians billions. And this is going to change the world a hell of a lot. I mean, for one, do you think investors or voters are going to have any patience now for wild global warming schemes that cut growth when we've got this tariff war making a lot of countries poorer? Joining me is the country's top foreign affairs writer, Greg Sheridan of The Australian. Greg, good to see you, but tell us, what is Donald Trump's big game here?
Well, Andrew, great to be with you. Look, it's honestly a little hard to know because Trump's modus operandi with the world is that most things are a negotiation. And in a negotiation, you keep your negotiating partner guessing. They don't know what you're going to do. He's actually very good at that, and that can be very effective. It gets some very substantial results for Trump and for America. It is, however, very disturbing to people who rely on American strategic reliability. Now, I wrote in today's paper, and I think the governments of Canada and Mexico will have an overwhelming incentive to placate Trump and to do whatever he wants. I don't think they know what to do to satisfy him. I do think that America has been vastly more sinned against than sinning in the trade world. Most nations which don't practice free trade do it through what are called non-tariff barriers. They don't honestly set up tariffs. They just make it impossible for you to sell your goods there. I mean, when China hurt our trade in various sectors, it generally didn't put up tariffs. It just wouldn't license our products. So a vast number of countries do that around the world. It's a bit like the green stuff. You know, people pay lip service to net zero, just like they pay lip service to free trade, but they don't actually do it. So Trump is being very transparent with what he's doing, but it's still very hard to work out where it ends up, because you can't believe that 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada is a good idea for America in the long run.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think America has been taken for granted. Have just look at how Europe, for instance, spends so little on its defence, hoping that America, expecting America to come to its defence, having spent twice as much proportionally. How should Australia be handling this?
Well, I think, you know, the Albanese government is more or less doing the right thing. Just shut up and, you know, don't draw attention to yourself. You know, hide in the corner and keep quiet. As Judith Sloan commented in your program, we don't do a big trade with America, but we have huge two-way investment, enormous two-way investment. And investment is a much more intimate thing than trade. One of the scandals of our situation is that we are so dependent in trade terms on China. We talk about diversifying our trade, but we don't do anything about it. It's just like we talk about our defence forces, but we don't do anything about them. We now are as dependent on China as we were on Britain before it joined the common market. So we need to diversify away from China, and every time we've thought about doing that, we've made a real mess of it, like the Adani mine that the Indians opened in Queensland. That was a big chance to diversify towards India, but we subjected them to more than a decade of green torture on the whole thing. We can't influence Trump's trade agenda, and we just want to play golf with the president, flatter him, and keep out of his eyesight as much as possible.
Yeah, well, I think that also means going along with some of his foreign policies, like perhaps we should, and this government hasn't. I noticed, Greg, I've got to say, one thing Penny Wong's doing, the Foreign Minister, have you noticed how often she says how lovely it was, that how privileged she was to be at Trump's inauguration, and was terrific. And I've never heard her talk so sweet to anyone. This is one big change. But listen, some of Trump's asks are amazing. Ringing up the Danish Prime Minister and saying, give me Greenland, give the US Greenland. I want Greenland, sending his son in Trump's jet to Greenland to ask the locals if they want to be American. What's that about?
Well, just a quick word on Penny Wong. I mean, I'm glad that she's saying all those things about Trump. We now know why she was invited to the inauguration. Marco Rubio decided to have a meeting of the Quadrilateral Group, India, Japan, the US and Australia. So he had to have the foreign ministers there. And interestingly, the Albanese government, in servile deference to China for the last 2 years has been saying, oh, the Quad's got nothing to do with security. It's all about, women's empowerment or, emergency aid or something. So Marco Rubio says the Quad is a security group, and the Albanese government says, yes, of course, boss. That's what we always thought. Yeah, we always thought it was a security group. You gotcha. The Albanese government just bears the impression of whoever last sat on them. They're like a soft cushion, But the Greenland stuff, I don't believe Trump can seriously imagine that he's going to take over Greenland. America already has a military base in Greenland. There is a slightly dangerous move to Greenland independence. I mean, it has a tiny population, not really viable. And while it's part of the Dutch establishment, the Dutch are in NATO and so on. But what I think, you're right. What I think Trump is after is simply, or what I think he'll get, I mean, who knows what he's after, but what I think he'll get ultimately is a more intimate association of Greenland with the United States and probably an expanded American military footprint. Exactly. They want to make absolutely sure that there is no chance that the Russians can ever do anything in or around Greenland. I can't imagine that Trump is going to try to conquer anyone's territory.
I think you're right. What he's just said, give me Greenland.
Absolutely.
No. Well, in that case, what are you going to give me? And that is how he operates. Greg Sheridan, always great to talk to you. It was a great piece in the Australian today, by the way. I recommend people read it. Thank you.